Do you want to go down to the beach? What do you think, Pickle?
Hey, it's Joe here, and I'm glad you're watching this, and I want to talk to you today about managing a sales team, or kind of managing any team. I'm going to talk to you about some fundamentals, things that you can do that are going to make it much easier for you to get things done, have your team having fun, and go after your goals. And I'm here with my, my sales team here, Roxie, and I told her we were going to go down to the beach. So let's go. There you go. Hey, I want to go through a couple things with you today. If you've ever managed a sales team, or if you ever managed a team in general, you know how sometimes it can get tough. I know when I moved from being a sales rep into the manager position, that was probably one of the worst decisions I could have made, because now it comes with a whole bunch of other stuff that I have to manage, especially other people's emotions. And I can't just say, well, this is how I used to do it, so therefore you should do it like this. And keeping in mind that not everybody does it the same way you would do it. So we have to kind of respect everybody. One of the best quotes I ever heard was from John Maxwell. I read one of his books, I think it was Leaders at All Levels, and it says you have to be caring before you can be candid. So if you have a habit of going in and, you know, bashing your team over the head, or trying to, you know, hit them with the stick or get them with the carrot, then you have to kind of step back and say, what are we really trying to do? Because everybody's also motivated differently. And in this video, I want to share with you 3 areas that you can focus on right now, that if you just started to apply this stuff, you're going to be in a you'll be in a position to get more out of your team and have them excited about taking action on their goals. So the first thing I think is often overlooked and underappreciated is cadence. In your sales management role, you need to set a cadence for how you guys are going to operate. And I'm working with a couple clients right now where we're actually going through setting that cadence. What do those meetings look like? If you're going to do a weekly meeting, what's going to happen in that meeting? If you're going to spread out a couple different training sessions throughout the week, what is going to happen in those? And it's just like, you know, I've got my pal Roxie here, and I hate to say it, but I can say it because I'm a salesperson, I'm a sales manager. Training salespeople is like having a dog. I know when I was a salesperson, if I'm like a dog, like, you know, I either can be like the best dog in your business, or like a scared shelter animal that's been abused. And you get the opportunity to make the most out of this, because as humans, as animals, as kids, we like consistency. So setting a cadence will help you set the tone for your team, help them understand what's going to happen, how to create some predictability, and getting into a system so that they can then, just like when we talk about conversation frameworks, when you have the right systems and the habits all in place, then you can be even more present because you know what to expect. So in the cracks in those systems, if you have the cue, routine, and reward, when you're doing your routine, you can decrease that mental energy and be more present. So if you're helping your sales team perform more, create a cadence where you have a consistent set of meetings. And so you might want to think about, you know, like a Monday morning kickoff meeting, where every time you meet for about 45 minutes and you go through something very specific. Maybe you have a routine of, we're going to look at what happened last week, we're going to compare some ideas, some wins, some challenges. We're going to end on a high note, and I'm going to help you guys understand what we can do. We're going to share somebody's example. So come to the party with an example of this specific thing. Then you might want to do maybe a 5 or 10 minute check-in each day with either individuals or as the team. But it doesn't matter what you do. What matters is that you're consistent and you have that cadence. And so that's what I want you to think about, is building that cadence for your team. And, you know, a lot of people say, well, we always meet, we always talk, we're always getting together. But that infrequency allows us as salespeople, allows us as managers start to invent things. We start to put those little bricks up of like, I wonder what they meant by that. I wonder what's going on here, and not having a formal avenue for us to express what we need to talk about. So that's the big one, is setting a cadence. You can also have those infrequent things happening, but within your cadence, and so that your team feels that they're listened to, and that they have an outlet and a vehicle for that. Within that cadence, now you have a weekly meeting. You want to have something that you're going to do monthly, where you set that up, and maybe a quarterly thing. And so that's going to lead into the next thing. What's the big idea that I've been working with a lot of my clients managing high performing teams, is to be able to say, okay, before we start to say, what does that cadence look like? What do we want out of our teams? How are we going to coach them? How are we going to do stuff? If they don't know what they're supposed to be working on, that's going to be the failing of us as managers, as leaders. So what I would suggest is that you go once a quarter, and you sit down with your team and say, hey, let's map out a 90-day plan for you. Let's put a sprint together so we know, so you know what you're looking at, I know what you're looking at, and maybe it's a little bit different for each person, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, okay, let's set an accountability list. Let's set something that you are planning to do, that you're gonna do, that you said you're gonna do, and I'm gonna help you accomplish those goals. I've got some goals for you in mind, but I wanna help you go after your goals specifically. So you sit down once a quarter with each of your team members and say, let's map out a plan. Let's map out our next 90 days. And then we map that out. We map out those processes, map out what we're gonna do. And then your job as a manager and a coach and a trainer and a leader, all those things, by the way, are different things you're gonna do, different skill sets to develop and different timing for those. But as a coach, manager, trainer, leader, you're going to now go, okay, each week, how did you make out with that thing you said you were gonna do? Now it's just an accountability check-in and not, once in a while saying, hey, we need to sit down and talk about your numbers. Because if we don't know what we're supposed to do, how the hell do we know if we did it? So that's one thing you want to do, is set that accountability thing that they've agreed on, that you've agreed on, and now you help them go after their goals every quarter and you reset that. This will also allow you to set very specific training topics for them. And again, each person might be different. So you might have somebody that's really good at maybe booking calls or booking appointments or getting people to show up or converting them in specific areas, specific types of clients, specific types of offers that they sell. But now by setting those goals and setting things that they're going to take action on, you can now bring that to the conversation. Say, hey, we have somebody who's doing really well in this area. Let's show the other people how they can do that, because some other people aren't doing so well. And so now you've created, because that's part of it as well, when you're creating accountability, I guess now I'm going to add a fourth thing. I had 3 ideas, but the other part is creating that shared language, is creating a shared language and a shared process that, even if you have people that are doing it completely different than everybody else, as long as it fits within some kind of a framework, so you know how to communicate that along the team, throughout the team, now you've created a shared language so that you can say, when we have somebody that's at this stage, maybe you've mapped out your stages, your pipeline, all that stuff, at this stage, who looks like this, that's your segment, that's your avatar, your customer, who does these types of things, that's going to be in your strategy of your conversation framework. I struggle when they do this. That might be objections, stalls, anything that happens in that conversation, some questions, insights, empathy, all the things that we're going to build out in that conversation. We say, now as a team, we get to say, when this happens, they do this, they're like this, they say this, what can I do here? Okay, that's where it's going to be really, really powerful, because of that shared language. And then that leads in, I don't know why I'm doing this, that leads in, I got this selfie stick and I'm just going to do this. And that leads in to the last piece. There's my kayaks, by the way. The last piece of this is going to be teaching your team how to self-manage, be self-aware, be aware of the things that they need to do. Help them come to the table knowing what they need to work on. That was the number one thing that I learned from my mentor when I was starting out in sales, is rather than coming to him and saying, rather than waiting for him to come and say, hey, let's talk about your numbers, I would go in and say, hey, this is what I'm struggling with. I noticed that I'm doing this. I went through my reports. I found that these things are falling through the cracks. I'm having a challenge with this. Can I get some help with this? That's way better than waiting for the ball to drop, right? Waiting for the bottom to drop. And now I'm getting, my wrist is sore from this selfie stick. So that's what I want you to think about. So what you'd be able to do is, as a rep, as a manager, you want your team to be able to come in and say, hey, I looked at my report. For me, this is the structure that I teach all my teams to do, is every day, look at what happened that day, however you're reporting, even if you're manually writing stuff down, forget about CRMs, but every day you should know what you did, and look for an opportunity for maybe where you missed something. Hey, somebody didn't show up. I should maybe take a look at that and maybe make a phone call, because your customers will forgive you if you kind of make that up in a day. But if you don't realize that till next week and say, hey, I forgot to touch base with you last week, you run the risk of them not complying with whatever you want. So they're not going to come to the party. I keep saying come to the party, but I'm just outside, and that's fine. So that's now my hand's on my hip, and that's weird. Okay. Come to the party. 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 Party. Come to the party. Then at the end of the week, I always did like a 30-minute review at the end of the week to say, how did that go this week? What did I miss? Anything fall through the cracks? Anything I should jump on right now before I leave for the weekend? And what should I maybe plan for Monday to get happening? And I would send a bunch of emails and follow up with people that I haven't maybe connected with or missed an opportunity, and say, hey, take a look at this stuff over the weekend. And it was a really good, I'm gonna sneeze now. No, no, I wanted that sneeze. So you would say, you know, is there anything that we should talk about? Think about this stuff over the weekend and maybe shoot me an email. I'll be looking at my emails and we could set something up. That was something that really worked well for me when I was doing lots of follow-up, is to kind of send that out over the weekend. But that was, you know, my 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, and then that half an hour once a week. And by doing that, I found that I was getting about 10% of things falling through the cracks. The lost opportunities that I was finding just by adding those few things. Then each month I would do a review and go through that. But by doing that, you teach your team how to be able to come to you and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. I need help with this. Because if they're relying on you to now go do call reviews, look at the reports, look at all of this kind of stuff, by the time you can address what's going on, often it's too late. So if you have a team that is running and gunning and self-managing and treating their role entrepreneurially, coming to you saying, how can you coach me through this? That's going to be so much more powerful. And that's what I've really started to do with my clients, is rather than doing training sessions, I get them to do the work. I'm doing this again. They're going to do the work and come back to me and say, this thing I need help with. Can you listen to this call from this timestamp to this timestamp and see what I'm missing? And then I can help them very specifically on that thing. And then once a quarter, we'll do a deeper dive. I'll listen to a full call. I'll listen and see. And you then only have to listen to a few parts of their calls to see if they're making improvements. They're going to do things over, you know, in the course of a couple months and see if you can see those improvements. So those are the big things, is setting that cadence, setting that, you know, that pace for your team, setting some accountability, helping them build a plan that they can take action on, building shared language among the team so you guys can talk about the same stuff, and then helping them self-manage so you can do more for them. If you do these things with your team, it doesn't matter if they're sales team or other team. Think about how this can help you. Think about how you can be like, hey, where's Rox? Roxie, come here. I need you. Come here now. I need you. I'm setting the tone. I'm setting this accountability. Come here, Roxie. Come on, Roxie. Get over here. Come here. Right here. I need you. Come here, come here. You are gross. So that's what we're gonna do with your sales team, with your team. Like, you want an awesome team like Roxie, who just is disgusting. She's been playing in the dirt. To help them grow, not help you achieve your goals. If you help them get what they need, they will help you get what you need. And that's your role as a leader, as a manager. You will do less training and more coaching. And then when you do training topics, they're gonna know what you're talking about because you've got the shared language. Say, hey, let's all talk about this thing, and they're gonna come to the party. That's what we're gonna do. Me and Roxie are having some fun. What are you doing there, Roxie? So I hope that helps you out with your teams and taking action, because if you can use your reports in a meaningful way to ask yourself, not what did you do, but what did we miss? And you get your team in the habit of looking at the things where they can find improvement from a place of not judging, but use it as an opportunity to grow yourself and your team, you're going to win and you're gonna be as cool as Roxie. So I'm glad you guys are listening. You know, I'm really trying to push on the YouTube channel this year and get these videos out to make it meaningful, because if I can help you solve this one idea here, then there might be an opportunity for us to talk on a deeper level, because you go and apply this stuff and then we start doing coaching, and that's why I'm doing all this stuff, because I want to help people on a higher level. Reach out to me, let me know what I can do to help you out and your teams, and that's it for me. Me and Roxie are gonna go probably throw some sticks in the water. Talk to you soon. Hey, this is Joe Girard with Change, Grow, Achieve. Thanks for checking this out. Remember to subscribe and check out some of the other videos and resources we have. You know, as a sales coach, I spend a lot of my time just helping people be less weird and more human with their customers. If we can help you and your high-performing team, reach out to us, let us know, and let's connect soon.